Sorghum and corn are two of the world's most important cereal grains, each carrying its own significance in agriculture, nutrition, and industry. But while they share similarities, they also differ in remarkable ways that make them more suitable for specific conditions and purposes. And understanding their comparison requires a deeper look at how they grow, how they perform under different environmental pressures, how they nourish people and animals, and how they contribute to industrial uses across the globe. Corn, also known as maize, is one of the most widely cultivated crops on Earth and is grown abundantly in countries with fertile soils and sufficient rainfall or irrigation, providing high yields of grain that can be consumed directly, processed into countless food products, or used as animal feed. Sorghum, on the other hand, though not as globally dominant as corn, is an ancient grain that has been cultivated for thousands of years in Africa and Asia, and its resilience has made it a life-saving crop in regions facing drought, poor soils, and extreme heat. Farmers who grow corn often rely on substantial inputs such as fertilizers, pesticides, and water to maximize yield, making corn extremely productive in ideal conditions, whereas sorghum thrives in marginal conditions with minimal resource, making it an attractive choice for sustainability and food security in areas with less predictable climates. When we look at nutrition, the two grains also tell different stories. Corn is calorie-dense, rich in starch, and provides a quick source of energy, which makes it valuable as a staple for both humans and livestock. Yet, it is relatively lower in protein and dietary fiber compared to sorghum. Sorghum, depending on the variety, often provides higher protein content, more antioxidants, and significantly more fiber, which makes it especially valuable for human diets focused on health, digestion, and managing blood sugar levels. People who suffer from gluten intolerance or celiac disease can also consume sorghum comfortably, since it is naturally gluten-free, while corn products are not always safe for those with sensitivities. Moreover, sorghum has a lower glycemic index compared to corn, which means it releases sugar more slowly into the bloodstream and can be a healthier grain choice for diabetics or people managing weight. The nutrient profile of sorghum makes it increasingly attractive to modern health-conscious consumers who are seeking ancient grains and whole food alternatives. Corn, however, continues to dominate processed food industries because it can be easily converted into cornmeal, corn oil, corn syrup, and starch, providing manufacturers with versatile raw material to create everything from sweeteners and snack foods to bio-based plastics and adhesives. From an agricultural perspective, sorghum's ability to withstand drought is one of its defining strengths. In regions such as sub-Saharan Africa, parts of India, and dry areas of the United States, sorghum outperforms corn because it can survive and produce yields with far less water. Its deep root system and waxy leaf coating allow it to conserve moisture and resist heat, while corn is much more vulnerable to stress during its critical growing phases, often failing to produce kernels if exposed to drought at the wrong time. On the other hand, in water-abundant and fertile regions like the American Midwest, corn reigns supreme by producing higher yields per acre than sorghum ever could. This contrast highlights the principle that corn is the crop of choice for maximizing output under ideal conditions, while sorghum is the crop of resilience, reliability, and sustainability in harsher climates. In livestock feeding, both crops hold major importance, but again, they serve slightly different roles. Corn is widely used as the primary energy source in cattle, poultry, and swine diets due to its high starch and digestibility. Farmers prefer corn when they want to maximize weight gain or milk production in animals. Sorghum, although sometimes less digestible and less processed properly, offers a strong alternative when corn is too costly or when drought conditions reduce corn supply. In many developing regions, sorghum is the backbone of livestock feeding programs because it is affordable and more consistently available. Additionally, in human diets across Africa and Asia, sorghum is often ground into flour for making flatbreads, porridge, and beer, while in Western markets it is increasingly promoted as a gluten-free alternative in bakery products, breakfast cereals, and health foods. Corn, conversely, is central to cuisines like Mexican food, where tortillas, Tamales and corn-based snacks form cultural staples, and in Western diets it dominates as sweet corn, cornflakes, and processed corn-derived ingredients. The industrial uses of both crops further widen the comparison. Corn is the world leader in ethanol production, serving as a major source of renewable biofuel, especially in the United States, where entire industries depend on corn-based ethanol. Sorghum is also used for ethanol, and in fact, some research shows it can be more water efficient in producing fuel. But it has not reached the same level of industrial adoption as corn. Sorghum also has a unique use in the form of sweet sorghum, a variety cultivated for its sugary stalks that can be pressed into syrup, somewhat like sugar cane. Corn, however, continues to have a greater industrial reach because of its derivatives such as high fructose corn syrup, corn starch, and biodegradable plastics, which are embedded in global food and manufacturing systems. From an economic perspective, corn dominates global trade and has a massive influence on markets, commodity prices, and even political policies, particularly in the United States, China, and Brazil. Sorghum, while important, is a smaller player in the global grain economy, but its importance rises significantly in countries that face water shortages and climate instability. For farmers who must adapt to climate change, sorghum is becoming more appealing because it offers security against crop failure when rains are poor. On the consumer side, rising interest in diverse and healthier diets is giving sorghum a new life as a trendy, ancient grain, creating niche markets and opportunities for farmers and exporters. Ultimately, the comparison between sorghum and corn is not about one being universally better than the other, but rather about context, need, and perspective. Corn is the grain of abundance capable of producing huge yields and fueling global industries when water, fertilizer, and technology are available, but it falters in harsh